Jeremy, welcome back to the podcast. Good to have you.
Man, Brian, good to be back.
Yeah.
Glad
Well,
to
this is
be.
your third stint. So
Let's go.
yeah, it's a good time to have you back. I know it's been a little while. Got the new book out. Congrats. How many books have you had? I can't count.
This is 7.
Wow.
My 7.
Okay. Yeah. How did I want to dive into the book a lot deeper, but I'm always curious, like, did something spark this idea from like a talk you had? Was it something at one of your company? Like what brought the idea for this book?
Yeah. So actually, we had my business partner Steve Cochran and I. We had like a canon of books we wanted to write,
Okay.
and this was the final piece of that era of our life.
Okay.
And it actually cements it. We wrote the 5 voices, which talk about who you are, and identity and wiring and personality, all those things simplified, way simpler than Myers-Briggs or other things that are super complicated. So we made it really simple. And then we created the 100X leader, which is a toolkit to know, like, what do you do? Like, how do you use? But the voice-driven leader is really simple. It's like, if you know who you are and you know who they are, meaning those that you lead, where are you taking them? What's the roadmap? So the voice-driven leader is the roadmap for development. It's all about the development square and how do you actually develop people into who you want them to be, and what's that process like based on their personality. So it's kind of the finality of all of our books together.
Was a lot of the concepts in the book just bang in your head for years when you were like starting your businesses? Like, there's friction here. I need to figure it out. Like, what kind of drove it, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it is it is the final piece of, like, we had so many people going, dude, this is so good. Oh my gosh, the 5 voices is the best I've ever been around. We hear that inside large companies and small entrepreneurs. And we're like, yeah, we know it works, but they would always go, but how? Like, where do I actually take them?
Yeah.
So it actually was kind of driving us nuts. Our clients were driving us crazy.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, here's exactly how you do it.
Yeah.
Here's how you onboard someone. And here's what needs to happen based on if you are this personality and they are this personality. Because it's different. There's 5 different core personalities. It's different based off if you're a connector like me and I'm leading a nurturer. That's going to be very different to onboard them versus a pioneer. So then the next stage is immersion. Then the next stage is empowerment. And the next stage is multiplication. So we're like, that whole process of getting a new employee up and running is like, we just got tired of answering it. So we put it in a book.
I'm assuming the old way was just everyone's the same. This is the training module for them. This is the whatever.
Totally. And it's not only that, it's like we've really cracked the code on, we think, hyper personalization. So if you really, really know someone else, then you can speak their language. So we made the book like learning 5 different languages. Okay. So like if I go to France and to Paris and I speak in a cafe and I try to order coffee and I'm like, hey, coffee, black, that's not going to go well. But if I speak the language, I'm going to get a better shot of getting what I wanted, right? So the same idea is, if it's not just based on your personality or voice, but know who you're talking to. So that was a key component. And it was like, if we can get people to understand, I need to know their language and speak their language, then the chances of me influencing them are going to be much higher.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I see this just from being in corporate for a lot of years, and like the best managers or leaders I had were they understand, like, I'm very empathetic how I am and I approach things, and I'm willing to talk about things. I'm willing to express how I'm feeling and have those discussions. And like, especially from a sales side, if it was only about the numbers or are you hitting your goal, I kind of started to get like lose trust in them, because I'm like, they don't care about me as a person. But when I had a couple managers that really would sit down, like, Brian, how are you? What's going on in your life? Are you okay? Like, okay, this person's different. So to your point, it's like they kind of took an understanding of, okay, who's Brian at his core? And then how do I get the best out of him in the good times and bad?
Yeah, and we've taken it even further. We created a cheat sheet for people. We created 5 Voices AI. So we've been training AI for about 1.5 years just on 5 Voices only. and we built our own 5 Voices AI. And so people now can like, hey, I did a tone check the other day. I got this email from a pioneer. I'm like, he's a pioneer guardian. I'm like, can you help me understand what Robert's trying to say here? And it analyzed it for me. It was unbelievable. So it's now to the point of like, hey, I'm onboarding a creative. What do I need to know if I'm a connector? And it just lays it all out for you. And so there's no excuse now.
Yeah, we can't hide behind we don't know, because the information's out there. So all right, I want to dive into that a lot more, but we do have the tradition on the podcast here, so we got to go into rapid fire.
Let's go.
Let's
kind of nervous.
That's okay. It's rapid fire, but we slow it down a little.
The answer before the question is 4. That's my guess.
Okay, let's see. Maybe. What's the mental checklist you run through before saying yes to something?
That's a really good. I'm actually doing that right now. I kind of built my own little criteria.
Okay.
And I have this like it's like a funnel system. It's like the first one is like my true north. Like, does this get me to my purpose or not? So this summer I did a lot of work on my purpose because I have a lot of opportunities in front of me. And it's like, man, if it doesn't if it doesn't help me activate people in a certain way, if it's not about people development, then I'm like, no, I'm out. And I had a couple of deals where like, hey, you're a connector. Can you help us raise some money, do some things? I'm like, I know I can, but it's not fulfilling for me. And I would have made money, but I'd rather work on my sweet spot. So I have my first true north. And if it doesn't, I play Roman council. So if it doesn't pass that, then I go, nope, sorry. And what it does is I do a quick no so that it doesn't stay on my mind all the time.
It doesn't linger. Okay.
Yeah. And so then if it goes to the next one, then I'm like, all right, to these people, and I have a really simple process. If it's people, I call it DNA, skeleton, skin. And I go, DNA, do they have the same DNA as me? Like the same values? Do we agree and believe the same thing? Do we have the skeleton? Do they work the same way I do? I'm an entrepreneur. I work fast. So some people have a hard time keeping up with me. And so that's really important. And then skin is not race or anything, it's brand. Like, what do they look like? What's their brand like? Mm-hmm. Does their brand match my brand? And so that's just a way that I use the kind of a quick overview of analyzing, should I work with that person?
That's a great answer for putting you on the spot there. Because I think that there's so many opportunities that can come our way and everything seems shiny and cool, but it's like, yeah, can you invest the time and energy? I always look at it from like, because sometimes the opportunities are months out. So that's why I love that first part is like, because yeah, if it's not even in your core, like purpose, let's say no now versus 4 or 5 months down the road, it's like, shit, I didn't really want to do this in the first place,
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2, what's something you wish more people understood about starting?
Yeah. So, there's it's counting the cost, right? And so, I think what I would probably say is it's way more mental than they ever think. Because, and this, but to start something, your beliefs are going to be affected. Like your belief system. Because when it gets hard, and it's going to get hard fast, do you believe in it? And if you don't, and you didn't believe in it, then you're just gonna flounder, or you're gonna eventually get out and move on to something else.
Yeah.
But if you believe in something, really, really believe in it, then usually that passion, unless it's a horrible idea, but that passion and that belief would get you past the hurdles that are coming. And I just think most people, like, you can't give what you don't possess. So if you're not healthy, if you're not alive, if you're not full of like that energy, then man, people will feel it. And so that's my thought.
Really, I guess if I'm summing up what you're saying is like the self-doubt, if you have that self-doubt, you're not going to crest that wave to really get into the open waters, because you just don't believe in yourself to even begin with. So it's always going to be like, oh yeah, this doesn't work, or I'm not in the right position now, or it's not the right time. You're going to come up with some excuse, and it's really a self-doubt, right?
It is.
Yeah. All right. 2 for 2 here. All right, Jeremy,
Wow.
you're crushing this, man. All right. When was the last time you wanted to give up but didn't?
Oh man, yeah, I have. Well, I have. So currently, I have 9 different businesses that I'm overseeing, and I have a portfolio model. So the way that I think about it, I have deferred revenues, and I have partners in each one of those. So I'll own equity at different levels, 30% up to 70%, but none of them are 100% because I have other partners that are working. And so that's just the way that I like to work. But I've had 2, and they're close friends, and it's just the business hasn't worked exactly like I hope it would work. And so it's like, and I'm probably still in that process. Do I give up on those businesses, or do I roll up my shirt sleeves and dive in? Is it worth it for me to do? So for me, it's actually just believing in the business model. I'm probably I'm old enough where my giving up days were way far away, like a
Yeah.
long time ago. But now I'm deciding, do I give up on the business model and do I move on? And sometimes it's like pruning. Pruning is, you see a branch and you're like, it's not dead.
Right.
But it's not fully alive, and it's taking from these other things that, so if I prune here, all that energy and that time will go to the right branch, which probably is what I'll end up needing to do. So
How much do you? I'm going to go on a little tangent here. You got me noodling on something. But like, how much? Let's say the 20-30% that you own in that partnership. How much influence do you have on the direction of the business, in terms of if there is some pruning or maybe changing of course?
a lot of the content, I create the content, so they're leveraging my content.
Okay.
So I have a lot more influence than if it was just like I didn't buy in to, or invest into a company. So I'm kind of the founding voice. So I probably have, uh, I probably have a lot more influence because of that.
Hmm. Let me ask you this. So, and this is a little self-serving, but this has come up very recently. This idea I'm noodling on with someone. How do you determine equity in the partnership? Like, is it just dollars putting in? Is it sweat equity? Like, I'm just curious your overall perspective, and this could be for anyone starting out there that might be getting into a partnership.
Yeah, this could be really helpful for anyone out there because I've started 32 businesses. And so in that startup, and I've sold obviously a lot of them, and some of them didn't make it. And some have been bigger wins, and some of them are just kind of like, uh, I hit a double, not a grand slam. Uh, but my history is I over give equity.
Okay.
So it's because I'm a nice guy. I'm really wanting people to, so I would over, subscribe, and versus under. And I know I have business partners who are very greedy, have had in the past, or very miserly, and they're like, getting blood out of a turnip kind of a deal. So my point would be, I think you've got to think about the value that you bring. And so I have a friend, and he has 42 companies right now, and he buys the company, and then he builds an earnout process for the hired gun,
Hmm.
up to 10% ownership, with a 3-year earn in, and then a 5-year bonus kind of earn in for an extra point or two. And what I like about that is it's a very definitive. He's set the terms,
Hmm.
and so then if he's got people who do that, then he's got precedent, and then it's really up to you, Brian. Do you want to do this or not? This is the earn in.
Right.
But those are hired guns. So I think you have to distinguish: is this a hired gun, and I mean like a hired person, an employee, or is it a founding business partner? So I think it goes back to, is it a founding business partner? Which one like I'm a majority owner in a number of our founding, because I was the first one, I was the brand leader, all those things. So I have a little bit more equity than anyone else. But for you, if you're thinking about it, are you founding it with someone, and who's spending more time, and who was the original founder and all those things, then that might change it. But, or are you bringing someone in who you founded it, but you're a little tired and you're worn out, and you're going to bring someone who's not just a hired gun, they're a little bit more like a partner, but I'd still do an earn in. And that earn in, I did it with one of my businesses, with one of our leaders, and, a 4-year earn in, and he got up to 4%. So it was 1% each year.
Okay.
Sweat equity.
Yeah.
Well, that guy's been with us 13 years, and he's an all-star, and he's been in different businesses of ours. Now he's back in running one of our companies. Yeah. And so now it's time to reevaluate his comp for the future. Yeah. And so that's something, though, that I would just, I would say over, under, just be cognizant. Who are they? Yeah. And if they're a hired gun, go lower, and, you're using different incentives. Yeah. And ownership is one of those pieces, maybe. But if you're just a hired gun, I'm using salary, I'm using profit sharing, and I'm using phantom stock. If they are a true partner, then there's equity. But are they a junior partner, or are they a co-partner?
Right. Yeah, I think that's the challenge right now, just figuring out, because first time I'm kind of getting involved with this is like, what about the work that's been done already? But then what about the future potential of all the work that has to be done? And I think that's part of that negotiation as well, at least how I'm looking at it.
And it's another term I like to use. It's value and dilution. It's like there's the term accretive, which is overused sometimes, but it's 1 + 1 = 3. So it's like the value of that person. Are they joining your organization, and they're going to literally grow the value? Like, you've had your time and you got it to X, they come on and they take it to Y. Well, man, that's worth something there. That's great. So that's value. They're building value. Or do you create a situation where you bring someone on, and I've done this too, and I created dilution. It's like, oh man, that person didn't work out. That tech program didn't work like we thought it was going to work. That product didn't scale, but they overpromised, underdelivered, and now I just gave away, 10 points.
Yeah. So. Okay. I mean, I do like that, and there's a kind of like a vesting period almost for some of these, for the incentives.
That's it. Earn in.
Here's a good one. I think this will be helpful for the listeners here. What's the most humbling setback you faced as a founder?
Man, a lot. One of them, I remember in the .com days. I had 3 .coms back in the .com early. Like, I'm talking about 1997, 98. And I remember creating a product. You're like, what year were you born? No, I'm joking. I know you're 42, but some people weren't born that are listening. But I just remember, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to kill it. I've got it. And I just didn't talk to the customer. And it was actually, funny enough, it was in the African-American haircare space.
Okay.
Which I used to be in. And it was the first African-American haircare.com. And I had the right products, I had the right look, I had the right team, I had all of it together. And the fundamental issue was the African-American population, that our target market at that time did not trust putting credit cards on the internet.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that was just, it should have been just blaring obvious.
Yeah.
And it was a 1.5 years, probably 2 years startup fail. Now, when the .com bust happened, we were one of the busts. Yeah. But it was just, I just didn't know the customer. I kind of knew it, but I didn't accept it. And so that was humbling. It was just really fundamental, basic avatar understanding.
I don't know if we ever talked about this before, so now you got me a little curious. Like, how the heck do you get into that as your first business?
Yeah, because I've been in Russia. I lived in Russia for 3 years, and so 2 years, and started 3 companies in 2 years. And so sold those, came back to America, and my dad, I was in my 20s. He said, son, in your 20s, it's not what you do, it's who you work with or for that makes all the difference in your 20s. Don't worry about what you do. It's all about who you work with. And I totally believe that. And so I worked with this amazing family, and they were in the African American hair care business.
Hmm.
And they apprenticed me. They groomed me into this business leader, and I learned so much in the 6 years I was with them. But our products were African American hair care distribution. And I went on the circuit and I spoke, and I was on the stage speaking about why the curl was dead in certain parts of the world. I mean, it was random,
Oh,
but it was so fun, Brian, because it's like partly I've been involved in so many different kinds of businesses that it's kind of anemic to like, hey, a business, what are you trying to do? Who's your client? Oh, what are your strategies? When you know the fundamentals about a startup,
yeah.
you can go anywhere and play in anyone if you're just curious enough.
Yeah.
And I think I was just curious. And so I spent a lot of time in the African American world understanding the dynamics.
Yeah. Well, it almost goes back to your purpose you were mentioning earlier, right? Because that can transcend a specific type of business,
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Last question here. Who's someone you admire for their ability to take action?
Well, I was just watching I was actually, and this is not going to be original, but I was just watching Elon Musk's talk that he just gave today. And I'm like, golly, that guy is so blasted inspiring because you know what I like about it is like, what I like about Elon is intent with action. He has this missional intent and this intention to embetter the world, or whatever. And some of you might disagree and go, "Well, he's just embettering himself." Like, well, that's just the results of his intentionality and his action.
Yeah.
But his action, like, how in the world do you build that leverage in that beginning, get that flywheel moving, that you can then all of a sudden expand and grow and build so many successful companies? And then they have so much potential. Can you name who has more potential in the world than Elon Musk right now with batteries, robots, satellites? I mean,
AI.
neuro.
I mean, he started his AI company. Yeah, actually, it's like he
So
get yeah.
there's no one better at action than Elon Musk.
Yeah, I mean, he gets so much shade thrown at him. I don't know. I mean, I guess sometimes he puts it on himself, but yeah, it's like I always love the folks that are like, oh, he's bad for the world or whatever. And I'm like, well, you were cheering him on 6 or 7 years ago. It's like you can't just kind of be flip flopping. Like you're not gonna like everything he does. But to your point in the action, it's like he's created a tremendous amount of jobs. And not only that, I think the thing that gets lost is not only has he created jobs for himself, his businesses, the exponential push of the electric car market or solar panels or anything has pushed other markets to grow and create jobs and create economic opportunity. And I think that gets lost in the conversation. So
And I think also, and I think I'm tending with this too. But that when you talked about action, he is so proactive on action that wherever there's a bottleneck, he'll just go spend the night
yeah,
and fix it in 24 hours or a week to
yeah,
stay on an assembly line
yeah,
until it's fixed, because he knows that's the linchpin. So the action orientation to it. So think about this: for if you're listening, they go past, present, future. Even me, I've built things and I feel responsible for the things I've built, but I'm not leading them. Other people are. So, I'm a co-founder in them, but other people are leading. But I have a tendency to feel responsible to the past, which
mhm,
then precludes me sometimes for being oriented to the future, because I'm always going, well, I feel like I need to spend more time here. I'm trying to help them get this. And it's almost like I probably need a system to go, hey, if it's not making it by this point, it's just pruning, so that I can take that energy into future action.
right,
Because present future is a direction of growth, not past.
yeah,
You can learn some things, but I think a lot of people are stuck in the past.
yeah. That's a good point. How do you think, well, I guess what if we're on Elon, like what you think about leadership, we're talking about, and with the new book, like how do you think he is as a leader from what you understand or derive?
I think he's actually, from what I've read and read even in the last few years, I think he's very empowering because he finally realizes he has to multiply. He can't be everywhere. He seems like he's everywhere, but he's solving the biggest issues. He's now got people that I think he's emulated. So I think he's gotten to a point of empowerment with people. So what I've read by a few people that he trusts, when he trusts someone completely in an area, then he fully empowers them, but he expects them to multiply and build their people as
Hmm.
well.
Okay.
And I think that's the interesting part about development. Development is okay, you're consciously incompetent. You're clueless, but I need you here. And I think he has an ability to go, I'm going to find good talent and then I'm going to call you up and remind you of the expectation. This is what I'm expecting you to do, Brian. So, but I need you to own this, kill it,
Yeah.
and then build your bench. And I think that's the only way he can make it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is a tremendous amount of trust that has to go into that. You just can't be everywhere doing everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So the multiplication is so important.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to. Well, one of the things, that kind of through lines here, because as kind of doing some research before about this book and some of the things you're working on, is like this listening. And again, we're sticking on Elon. I think it's a good kind of analogy, I guess, metaphor, analogy, whatever it is. Um, I still remember that clip. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about here, where he was like doing a SpaceX launch, and some reporter said something to him. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And he's like, "Hmm, I never thought of that. Let me check on it and I'll get back to you," or whatever, like that. And that, when I think of listening, I'm like, that's listening. There's no ego there.
Mhm.
We want to make it better. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that now what we're talking about here. This is what keeps most founders, entrepreneurs, at an average level because they're not willing. So, like, if you're passionate, if you're taking action, you're going. Best idea wins every
Mm-hmm.
day. Great.
Right.
What do you got? Oh my gosh, Brian, you just solved my dilemma. Yes. So then that becomes the game, if you will, to speed to market. That is like I've got to constantly be working on my MVP. I've got to constantly be understanding what value am I bringing to the world, and then I've got to be voracious about taking anything out that would hinder it.
Yeah.
And I think most employees don't understand the pressure that's on the entrepreneur. And I don't think they understand the pressure of like we we have a little we have a little baby here. It's got to grow. Or let's
Yeah.
not use human. Let's say we have a fire, and that fire could go out very easily. And if I put too big a log on it, by hiring someone with a big log, that log is going to squelch the fire.
Right.
So I've got to use kindling and I got to get this thing rolling. We got to get it flaming. Now it's a bonfire. Let's go. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting part about entrepreneurship is just think it's so hard. It's so difficult. And so your first employees are so crucial. Your first teammates, your first partners are so important that they don't take you off. And that's why, like, if I can just ramble for a second, like, I love Jim Collins. Jim is a friend of mine, actually, from way back in the day. He used to be with me at LeaderCast when I started that. And we used to bring him on and had a partnership. But, Good to Great has this whole idea of, hey, we got to just get the right people on the bus. And I can't tell you how many people have heard that, like, just get the right people on the bus. I'm like, well, that's stage one. I mean, yeah, of course. It's better than getting the wrong people on the bus,
Right.
for sure. But who are they? What are they supposed to do? Where are they going? What needs to get developed? And like, there's so many other things that people just go, all I have to do is find the right person. I'm like, no, actually, what you're doing is so important to get the right people, but you're bringing their culture into your culture. Even if they're a good
Yeah.
person, they have their own culture and their own history of culture and their own way of doing things. So you have to be the dominant culture when you have new employees. And that means you have to set the tone This is who we are. This is what we're about. This is where we're going. This is how you win. This is how you help us win. You know what I mean? You got to like get that role clarity down. And that's super important. And that's why the voice driven leader, that's what we talk about. You have to develop the entire system, not just hope you found a good person that's on your team.
So think about those first couple hires. Because you can go on LinkedIn, or you can, go on Substack, or you can read everything about scale your business as fast as possible and, all that good stuff. But I'm sure people talk about it, but I don't hear it as much. And I listen to a lot of shit about here's how to hire properly. Here's how to bring on the right people, as you're talking about. So can you share your thoughts a little bit more on like those first couple hires, how to think about that?
Yeah. So in our case, most of our hires were clients who had already experienced us. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. That they go through and they experience Giant. And we're like, this is so good. How do I become a part of this? Right. So that helped because they had already drunk the Kool-Aid in that regard. But I think for me, there's a couple of things. Number one, we call them POPs. We call them persons of peace. And a person of peace is somebody who they'll go above and beyond. They so believe in what, like there's the majority of people, they're just looking for a job. They need work. They need a job. Yeah. What do you do? Yeah, I can do that. Great. And their excitement is that they got a job.
Right.
It's like, that's not it's first employees. That's not who we're looking for. I want people who are so passionate about what we're doing. And they're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing that they're willing to sacrifice in the beginning. And if they show any willing to sacrifice and they're so for you and so for your product and your company, that's a person of peace. So you will then pour into them, invest into them. I've got one, his name is Mike Opadaw. Mike, man, he was one of our POPs early on. And he just so gets it that he's willing to do the extra. And because he's willing to do the extra, we've benefited him the extra. We've given him even more. And that's an example.
Do you hire then, going back to your culture piece earlier, or their I guess the culture they're bringing with them? Do you hire more for that, knowing you can train them from a skill standpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, like it goes back to our DNA. It goes back to our values. And, we have, and again, for us, we don't hire we have a lot of 1099s. We have a lot of partners, but our hiring has mostly been internal, and then we develop. And then for the other companies, so now I'm just joining another partner in a government agency work, and we've got this young buck, and it's kind of a hybrid because he's the majority owner partner, this other guy, and then there's me. And then I've got this young guy, and I've been analyzing would I hire him, would I have hired him? And I have basically said, yeah, I would. He's actually legit. Good job to my partner that you found him. But it was kind of like, it kind of just happened, right? So for me, it's like finding people and finding talent. They have to ooze. Like they have to be so excited about it in the early days. I'm not just looking for someone on Indeed. I'm looking for a customer, someone who's experienced already, or someone who just gets uber excited about it. And you're like, how do you find that if you're in pest control?
Yeah.
Like, it's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder.
Is there like I hate to boil down like, oh, is there one question? But I'm curious, is there a question you like to ask, or something that you can vet out based on their answer if they might be on the wrong side of this?
Yeah. I do. I have one I've never probably shared. If you were a tree, what tree would, no, I'm joking. What tree would you be? No, I would ask, I asked the question, all right, Brian, before we start anything, who are you, man? Just tell me who you are. And that, not what have you done, but who are you? So I always look for being versus doing. Doing is like, here's my resume of all the things I've done. I'm like, yeah, that didn't tell me anything. Who are you? And you'll get really interesting answers. And when you ask the who question, who are you? You'll find out so much more. And you're like, huh, okay, you're really passionate about, I did it the other day with a guy and he goes, well, I'm a dad. I was interviewing this guy for a friend. It wasn't for me. He goes, I'm a dad and I so want to help people with special needs because my son has special needs.
Mhm.
And I've dedicated my life to helping families um, who have to go through this hard time like I've had to. And I'm just passionate about that. And that's become my hobby.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, well,
Wow.
this guy, he didn't run. He's dedicated. He's doing the hard work. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So his resilience is going to be really high because you found out. Now he might have other things. He might need time off for special, harder issues. But I'm like, this guy is solid. You can tell there's gold in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I talk a lot with folks about like even with the podcast, they're asking like, oh, should I want to start one or whatever? I'm like, if you want to be employable, it's like, let's say they're not doing their own business, go do those things, those hobbies or whatever, because now that's an additional, not only skill set, but to your point, it's like people see that you're actually a human being. It's not all about work, because that sounds a little phony and fishy. Like, oh, really? You're going to work this job 80 hours a week and not do anything else? That chance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that. That's a good. So that's literally the first question out of the gate,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
That's it. First thing I ask.
Wow. Do people go on like 10-minute diatribes, or do you find is it kind of all over the place?
It's great. If they
Yeah.
do, you learn so much more
Yeah.
because it's like, well, tell me what you've done. Show me what then they start talking about that other product that I don't care about.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. God, I really like that. All right. I'm gonna start putting that into play. um okay, so let's keep this kind of the startup founder, the early business owner in mind. I guess I'm just thinking as you're talking through here, do they need leadership training, like coaching? Is that something they should invest in?
The startup?
The startup founder, yeah, the this entrepreneur, they have a business now, they're maybe scaling, they're getting investment dollars. Like, is that a good practice for them to do to learn how to become a better leader?
Well, the short answer is yes, but let me tell you why. And it's advisory. I mean, when you have like think about what the biggest issues are: time and money, right? For startups, man, I got time to market. So if I can save 3 months, if I can save 6 months, if I can not have that bad hire early on can take a company down. And it's happened a lot, right? Or, man, I should have not such and such. So having someone that's a sounding board, and that's the way I would use it. It's like a confidant.
I see.
I need a sounding board. I need a confidant. So I'm asking questions because early on, it's not just leadership because you're like, well, I haven't had any people. Well, no, it's leading yourself. It's
Yeah.
your thinking, your stress behavior, your mindset, making good decisions. What's your criteria? All those things. So how do you lead yourself? How do you, really there's three parts of a business. What's your business plan? What's your financial plan? What's your people plan? If you boil it down to go,
Yeah.
what's your strategy? What are you trying to accomplish? Right. So a really good coach, and that's obviously a part of what we do at Giant. We have like 500
Yeah.
coaches and that's what they do. But we basically build what's your org clarity? Do you have your vision clean? Do you have your value set? Do you have your role clarity? What are your strategies you're going to do? What's your structure like? What are your tactics you need to be doing every day, every week? Those are the things that we hold people accountable to. So then that leads to your financial plan,
Yeah.
which is how do we make money? And then how do we build a people plan? And for us, we believe in the team leader as the most, they're the key fractal in a company because as the team leader goes, so the team goes. And if you hire the wrong team leader, they'll disenfranchise the team and that team will become compliant, not engaged, and they'll create all types of issues for the company. So we call them Sherpa. So we say the team leader has to be like a Sherpa on Mount Everest.
Yeah.
They have to climb while helping people climb.
Hmm.
And if you've got, no one wants to follow the asthmatic Sherpa up the mountain, right? It's like,
Right.
I want the healthy one. Give me the healthy Sherpa. But most team leaders are not healthy because most of the founders aren't spending their time training the Sherpa. If you train your Sherpa, they'll take care of everything else. So the whole focus of leader development is training your Sherpa. And that's anyone who leads other people. So if that's 10 people, if that's 2 people, those Sherpa are the people that you're spending all your time with.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to even the Elon talk of like, you got to have trust in those people and let them do their thing, trusting that they're going to get it done. But you also have to give them support. You can't just expect them to
Yeah.
do it on their own.
Yeah.
You said something earlier. I wanted to just circle back to here about the belief in yourself to get started, like having that belief to kind of crest the wave. What about, you're 6 months in, you're a year in, maybe you saw 25 investors, no one's giving you money, or the product's having some stumbles. Like, how do you help people keep that belief that maybe has started to, wane a little bit?
It goes back to having a confidant, having a trusted advisor or a coach that you can talk through some of those things, because sometimes you can talk yourself out and you were 1 month away from getting it. So the questions I'd have is like, be really honest. Do you have, do you have a MVP? Do you have a minimal viable product? Is it clear in your client's mind or not? And is that product market fit there? Like all the basics. Do we have the fundamentals? And is it like so easy to do business with you? But you know what? The dogs just don't like the dog food.
Right.
So, all right, well, do you change the dog food? Do you change the recipe? Or do you go, you know what? I thought we would make it with African American hair care online. And at the end of the day, they won't put their credit cards on in 1998.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. It didn't happen until 2005.
Oh, wow.
So, if I had waited to 2005, but I would have lost a lot of money in that. So that was a time to pull. I should just cut it. And I did.
Yeah.
Prune, move on to the next one. And but whenever you prune, all that energy goes into the right place versus, so there's this fine line of like, yeah, it's great to be resilient, but you can be resilient to death, or you can be resilient to the point of pruning and go, you know what, we did it. We tried our best. We learned a ton, but we're going to take this learning and we're going to go on to the next startup.
Yeah.
And the next startup is going to be even stronger.
Yeah, it's, if I'm hearing right, it's like that sunk cost fallacy. It's really not diving into that fully and letting that overtake you, where it's like, oh, we put so much time and energy, we have to see this through.
Yep. And there's a time and place. I mean, like, again, that's why I think pruning is probably the best analogy for any entrepreneurs. If you want to get really good as a startup, go prune some trees. Literally go out to your outside and take your trimmers and decide if you should, and it starts to make sense. You're like, well, this branch is obviously dead. Let's just get it off, cut it. Okay, that's easy. But what about this one little sapling? It's a branch, but man, that's taking energy away from these things. What are my 3 things? What are the 3 branches I want on this tree, or 4? Because that's where all the blooms are happening, not 20.
Yeah.
Right. So it just goes in. And then when you make that cut, you're like, oh, it's going to look ugly. And then 6 months from now, you're like, oh my gosh, look at that tree.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the pruning analogy is, it's probably one of the best ones I've ever heard, because I think it does make a lot of sense. Because yeah, when you do prune it, it starts to flourish in that one area versus the 20 directions it can go. I love that. Look, you mentioned a kind of last point here. I'm just worth again thinking out loud, because you mentioned like this book is the last in the series. Do you have another series kind of thought, or are you not writing anymore? What's kind of the next direction?
No, I'm fully on. So that was my last one. I'll do with Steve Cockram. So we had we did 5 together, and then I've had 7 books total. And it's kind of completes all the work we've done in Giant. We have so much content. We have too much content. So that feels great, and I feel really good. And we certify people on our content, and we have 5 voices AI. But once you create something, it's already out there. It's in the, and so for me, I'm gonna continue to do leadership stuff and continue to do that and champion those things. But I'm gonna dive into really the future of work, and on one hand, and then I'm going to be working a lot more on peace and power and the superpowers of people. And then I'm going to look at, like, I've got the next book that will come out will be, I don't want to give too much away, but it'll be a lot more about the coming forced diversification of revenue because of AI and the loss of jobs, and how people can actually become entrepreneurs when they're forced to be entrepreneurs versus when they wanted to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So, and it's coming. And so there's going to be, there's a need for transition, and how do people transition into startups, and how do they do it well?
Awesome, man. Well, I look forward to you come back on for your 4th appearance when that one
Okay,
comes out.
that's
All right.
great.
We'll
Yeah,
jump in.
you'll love this next one. It's so fun. I use these symbols, and it makes so much sense to people, and they're like, immediately they get it, and it's just a really, really fun way of thinking about entrepreneurship.
I love that, man. I love having you on because, again, there's like all this. I could see the passion in you, just the way you explain it. You've done so much, so obviously you have a lot of value to share there. But you're still, it seems like, loving it still. How many years?
I'm starting to
from mid '90s, right? So you
early 91.
91.
So I have 2 more startups coming this coming year, and and so that's really a fascinating business models.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I'm gonna put obviously everything in the show notes. Any other spot you tell people to reach out, say hello, anything, any other space you're
Uh,
finding is the best spot online?
yeah, jeremiekubicek.com. It's hard to spell, but I think you got it.
Yeah.
You got my book. So
Yeah.
jeremiekubicek.com is kind of where everything lands.
Awesome, dude. Jeremie, man, this is a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming back on.
Good to see you, Brian.